28th of February 2025. Hi guys, welcome to Rants, the comedy and tragedy of living in Singapore. So what's new? The Helm MRT station on the downtown line opens today at 3 p.m. Now, the station is located between Beauty World and Hillview MRT stations. Senior Minister of State for Culture, Community and Youth, who's also the Senior Minister of State for Trade and Industry, Miss Lee Hsien Loong, wrote on Facebook, I quote, "Mark your calendars, Helm MRT station will open on the 28th of February 2025 at 3 p.m. As we count down to that exciting moment, let me share about the inspiration behind Helm MRT station's unique designs. Did you know the station's architecture draws upon the beautiful nature in Bukit Gombak, historical buildings and the rail corridor in our estate? The station's yellow natural stone tiles at the entrance are inspired by the quarries and cliffs of Bukit Timah Nature Reserve." Unquote. It sure sounds as if Miss Loh had been the architect. But even though she didn't lay a single brick in that project, let's not forget her contribution to the smooth running of the line with her prayer team. We are all praying. "What are you drinking?" "Ribena. My mother said it is good for me. Can I have some?" "Yes, but not too much." People my age will definitely remember that iconic TV ad in the 1970s. When the two characters were found recently, it turned out that both of them are now doctors. What's the implication here? Give your children Ribena and let them become doctors? Now, the Education Ministry is working with the advertising sector to develop a code of conduct for tuition centres. So what's the problem? Our Minister for Education, Chan Chun Sing, in an interview with CNA, had strong words for some tuition centres, what he called the black black sheep of the industry. Now, he accused them of using fear-based advertising tactics.
Every election, the PFD will drop, and you check back the 50 years history. Then suddenly, a crisis will save up. Then we start dropping again. Until the next crisis, you save up and you drop. You look at the last 40 years pattern is the same. Lee Kuan Yew, death, save up. Before Lee Kuan Yew death, 9/11, save up.
Minister Chan also mentioned that some of these centres pick students who had the potential to score straight A's and reject the weaker students so that they could show off their results. Now, I'm not sure if it's someone within the industry who had complained about a competitor using unethical advertising tactics, but those of us who have been watching TV ads and reading ads in various publications all our lives would surely know that all forms of advertising are misleading in one way or another. They all capitalize on our desires and anxieties. Health supplements, beauty and slimming products, matchmaking agencies, yes, tuition centres capitalize on parents' anxiety. But who caused the anxiety in the first place? Those of you in my generation probably have kids who were in primary school some 20 years ago. I remember sitting in my son's classroom one evening after school with the other parents in his class. The math teacher was showing us a totally alien method of solving problems using the model method. Now imagine our anxiety. Our primary school kids had to learn something that we are totally unfamiliar with. Some parents even attended classes themselves so they could teach their children. The 1.8 billion tuition industry can never be sustained by unethical advertising alone. It is sustained by parent anxiety and student insecurity. I was born in a dialect-speaking home. Then, I had 2 years of kindergarten education in the late 1960s. I remember learning the alphabet and a few simple English words. Apart from that, our classes were in Mandarin. So, when I entered primary 1 in an English medium school in 1971, I could not communicate in English at all, and neither was my Mandarin very good. Fortunately, my teacher, Miss Chu, could speak Cantonese. Now, despite failing in a few subjects, I got promoted. In P3, I struggled with English composition as I couldn't even form more than one sentence coherently at a time. Everyone was reading Enlightened, but I didn't like it. My light bulb moment came in P4 when I got my library card and I discovered Dr. Dolittle by Hugh Lofting. I enjoyed the series, read voraciously, and my English started to improve. By P6, I was reading Sherlock Holmes. In secondary school, I was reading Charles Dickens, not to pass literature, but just for fun. I was reading my essays out to the class, contributing to the school bulletin, and my teacher said that he looked forward to reading books written by me in the near future. I'm not optimistic about monetization on YouTube, but if you'd like to support me, you can check out one collection of my blog entries made during GE 2015 entitled Happy in the Minority, and another one entitled The Pandemic Pages written during GE 2020. Now, the links are in the description. Can you imagine someone like me doing well in the current school system? Some of the things that I learned at O-level are now being tested for PSLE. It's just going to get harder and faster. Or if I were a student today, I would definitely end up in some anti-stream and I would not have liked the things taught in ITE. Parents today are well aware of the challenging situation their children are in. It's inconceivable to have a teacher communicating with a child in Cantonese because he can't speak English in P1. Now that child is going to be left at base camp while everyone else has reached the summit. Our current education system today looks very impressive, but I feel very fortunate that I didn't have to go through it. It would certainly have killed my passion for learning. Some years ago, when I was helping my son with his P6 science worksheet, he came to me with a difficult question. This diagram was shown and the following question was asked. Where does fertilization take place? I was shocked that my 12-year-old had to learn this at P6, but I gave him the answer. Fertilization takes place in the fallopian tube. There's a second question that asked, what is the advantage of this characteristic in an organism? Well, this is what we call in vivo fertilization, and the advantage is that it increases the chances of successful fertilization. Many fish and amphibian species lay their unfertilized eggs in water. Fertilization will have to take place in an open environment, hence decreasing the chances of sperm meeting egg. Guess what? The teacher marked my answer wrong. First, she said that fallopian tube is not in the syllabus. You just have to answer fertilization takes place in the female body. Then, why did you show such a detailed diagram? Next, the advantage of this characteristic, according to the teacher, is that the fetus is protected in the mother's body until it's ready to be born. It was an OMG moment for me. The teacher had confused in vivo fertilization with viviparity. Like mammals, birds and reptiles also practice in vivo fertilization, but they lay eggs. It's called oviparity. Mammals, almost all of them, not only practice in vivo fertilization, they also practice viviparity. In birds and reptiles, fertilization also takes place within the female body, but their embryos develop in eggs outside the female's body. In vivo fertilization does not always lead to viviparity. The school was trying to scratch the surface of A-level biology and ended up teaching the wrong concept. My mother had always told me never to argue with teachers who have the power to fail you in exams. Just give them the answers they want and do the right thing when you are no longer at their mercy. I didn't challenge the teacher any further. She's also a victim of the system, having to attend meeting after meeting to look busy and generate more work at ever-rising standards. But insultingly, after graduation, the products of our system have to compete with foreigners who did not have the benefit of our superior educational system, but are somehow more employable. Sadly, we are all held hostage by the system, and it's the system that is supporting the tuition industry with a constant demand, cohort after cohort. Is it about unethical advertising or overstretched teachers, students, and anxious parents? Finally, I would like to comment on a remark made by Minister Tan See Leng. If a country needs foreigners to survive, then it's not an independent country. Is Singapore an independent country?